Captain Lisa Grant sat in her command chair on the bridge of the USS Pioneer. The ship moved quietly through deep space, far from Earth and any other human worlds. They had been exploring this part of the galaxy for 3 months now. It was peaceful work. They mapped new star systems and looked for signs of life. The Pioneer was not a warship. It was built for exploration and science. The crew of 42 people were mostly scientists, engineers, and pilots. They had some basic weapons, but nothing serious. Their job was to learn, not to fight. Lisa liked it that way. She had joined the space service to see new worlds and meet new people. War was something humans had left behind on Earth, or so she hoped. Out here among the stars, everything seemed peaceful. "Captain," called Lieutenant Sam Davis from the communications station, "I'm picking up something strange." Lisa turned to look at him. Sam was young, but good at his job. He had ears like a bat when it came to radio signals. "What kind of strange?" "It's a distress signal, but not from any human ship. The language is completely unknown." "And Captain—" Sam paused, looking worried. "It sounds desperate." "Commander." Jake Murphy stepped closer to Sam's station. Jake was Lisa's second in command, a solid man who had served on 3 exploration ships. "Can you translate any of it?" "The computer is working on it now," Sam said. His fingers moved quickly over his controls. "The signal is very weak. It's coming from a star system about 2 days away." Dr. Amy Clark looked up from her science station. Amy was the ship's expert on alien life, though they had not found any yet. She was excited about everything they discovered, even rocks and gas clouds. "If it's really from aliens, this could be the first contact we've been hoping for." Lisa felt her heart beat faster. First contact with alien life was every explorer's dream. But something about the tone of the signal worried her. Even without understanding the words, she could hear pain in the voice. "Got it," Sam said suddenly. The computer had finished working on the translation. "Captain, you need to hear this." "Sam, put the signal on the main speakers." A voice filled the bridge, speaking in clear English thanks to the computer's translation. But the words made everyone go silent. "This is Elder Veltar of the Zalani people. Our world is dying. The Vorthak Empire has come to our system. They destroy everything they touch. Our cities burn. Our people die. We have no weapons. We have no way to fight them. Please, if anyone hears this message, help us. We are a peaceful people. We never hurt anyone. There are only 1 million of us left. Soon, there will be none. Please help us." The message repeated over and over. Each time, the voice sounded weaker, more hopeless. Lisa stared at the speakers. Around the bridge, her crew looked shocked. They had dreamed of meeting aliens, but not like this, not listening to them beg for help as they died. "Where is this Kepler 442b?" Lisa asked. Amy quickly checked her star charts. "It's a garden world, about 38 light years from here. Beautiful planet, perfect for life. But Captain," Amy's face went pale, "it's deep inside Vorthak space. Everyone knew about the Vorthaks. They were one of the few alien races humans had heard about, though they had never met them. The Vorthaks ruled a large part of this galaxy. They were conquerors who took what they wanted and destroyed the rest. Dozens of peaceful species had vanished after meeting them." "How many Vorthak ships would be there?" Jake asked. Amy checked her computer. "Based on their usual invasion patterns, at least 50 warships, maybe more." Engineer Pete Harrison whistled low. Pete was the ship's chief engineer, a practical man who could fix anything. "Captain, We've got basic shields and maybe 6 plasma cannons. Against 50 Vorthak warships, we'd last about 5 minutes. There has to be other human ships closer, said Jake. Let me check our fleet positions. Jake worked at his station for several minutes. When he looked up, his expression was grim. The nearest human fleet is 6 months away. The nearest single ship is 3 months out. And how long do these Zalani people have? Lisa asked, though she already knew the answer would be bad. Sam had been listening to more of the signal. Based on what they're saying, maybe a week. Probably less. The bridge went quiet except for the humming of the ship's engines. The Zalani voice kept calling for help, growing weaker each time. Lisa looked at her crew. These were good people, scientists and explorers who had signed up to study stars and planets, not to fight wars. She had no right to ask them to risk their lives for aliens they had never met. But she also could not forget that voice, the desperate hope in it, the way it asked for help from anyone who would listen. Captain, Dr. Clark said quietly, we might be the only ones who can reach them in time. Jake shook his head. Amy, you're a scientist, not a soldier. You don't understand what we'd be facing. The Vorthaks are killers. They've wiped out entire species. Which is exactly why we have to try, Amy replied. These Zalani people are about to become extinct. If we don't help them, who will? Lisa closed her eyes and listened to the signal again. Somewhere out there, 1 million people were, hiding in caves and ruins, waiting to die. They had sent their plea into the darkness of space, hoping someone would care enough to help. She opened her eyes and looked at each member of her crew. I won't order anyone to do this. If we go to Kepler 442b, we'll probably die. But if we don't go, the Zalani definitely will. Pete spoke first. Captain, I didn't sign up to be a hero. But I also didn't sign up to let people die when I could help them. My engine is ready. Sam nodded. I'm with you, Captain. Someone has to answer their call. One by one, each crew member agreed. They were scared, but they were also human. And humans had a hard time walking away from people who needed help. Very well, Lisa said. Sam, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what we're doing and why. Pete, how fast can you get us to Kepler 442b? Push the engines to maximum? 2 days, Pete said. Do it. Lisa turned back to the main screen where stars moved past as the ship changed course. Somewhere ahead lay a dying world and an enemy they had never faced, but also a chance to save a people who had nowhere else to turn. Jake, start preparing our weapons. We'll need everything working perfectly. Aye, Captain. As the USS Pioneer raced toward Kepler 442b, the Zalani distress signal grew stronger. Soon they would find out if humans were strong enough to stand against the darkness that threatened to swallow an entire species. Behind them, Earth was 42 light-years away. Ahead lay the unknown. The hunt for the Vorthaks was about to begin. The USS Pioneer flew through space faster than it had ever gone before. Engineer Pete Harrison had pushed the engines beyond their normal limits. In the engine room, he watched the power readings climb higher and higher. The ship shook slightly, but it held together. How are we doing, Pete? Captain Lisa Grant asked over the communication system. Still in one piece, Captain, Pete replied, wiping sweat from his face. But I wouldn't want to do this for much longer. On the bridge, Dr. Amy Clark worked with the computer to learn everything she could about the Zalani people. The distress signal gave them some information, but not enough. She needed to understand who they were trying to save. They're amazing, Amy said to Commander Jake Murphy. Look at this data, The Zalani are made of living crystal. They can live for thousands of years. Their whole society is based on art and healing. They've never had a war. Jake looked at the pictures Amy had put on her screen. The Zalani looked like walking jewels, beautiful and delicate. No wonder they can't fight the Vorthax. They don't even understand violence. Lieutenant Sam Davis had been working to contact the Zalani directly. After many hours, he finally broke through their communication system. "Captain, I've got them." The main screen lit up with the image of an alien being. It was tall and thin, made of what looked like blue crystal. Light moved through its body like water. When it spoke, its voice was like music. "I am Elder Veltar," the being said. "Are you the ones coming to help us?" "We are," Lisa said. "I'm Captain Grant of the human ship Pioneer. We received your distress call." "Humans?" Veltar seemed confused. "We have never heard of your species. Are you warriors?" Lisa almost laughed, but the situation was too serious. "Not exactly. We're explorers, but we couldn't ignore your call for help." "The Vorthax have destroyed most of our cities," Veltar said. His crystal body dimmed with sadness. "We hide in the deep caves now, but they find us anyway. Yesterday they killed 10,000 of my people. Today they will kill more." "How many Vorthax ships are there?" Jake asked. 67 warships circle our world," Veltar replied. "Their soldiers search every cave and tunnel. We cannot fight them. We do not even have the concept of fighting in our language." Amy leaned forward. "Veltar, we're going to need to work together. Can you tell us about your underground cities? We might be able to help protect them." For the next several hours, Veltar shared everything he knew about his people and their world. The Zalani lived in beautiful crystal cities beneath the ground. Their technology was very advanced, but all of it was designed for peaceful purposes. They could heal almost any wound and create art that was alive with light. "There's something else," Veltar said. "Our bodies can focus and amplify energy. It is how we create our art and heal our sick. But perhaps it could be used for defense." Amy's eyes lit up. "Yes, that might work. If we can tune our shields to the right frequency, your people might be able to make them much stronger." As they talked, the Pioneer got closer to the Kepler system. Soon they would face the Vorthax Empire for the first time. "Red alert," Lisa announced to the ship. "All hands to battle stations." The crew moved quickly to prepare. They had drilled for combat, but this was real. Chief Gunner Roy Bennett checked every weapon twice. Roy was a quiet man who had grown up hunting in the mountains of Colorado. He understood weapons better than anyone on the ship. "Captain," Roy reported, "all weapons ready. But ma'am, 6 plasma cannons against 67 warships. The math doesn't look good." "I know, Roy. We'll have to be smarter than them." The Pioneer dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler system. Immediately, Sam's instruments lit up with contacts. 30 Vorthax ships moving to intercept us, Sam reported. "They're fast, Captain." On the main screen, they saw their first Vorthax warships. They were dark and ugly, covered in spikes and weapons. Each one was twice the size of the Pioneer. "Incoming transmission," Sam said. The screen showed a Vorthax commander. It looked like a giant insect, with black armor and multiple arms. Its voice was harsh and angry. "Unknown ship. You have entered Vorthax space during a military operation. Leave now, or be destroyed." Lisa stood up from her chair. "This is Captain Grant of the USS Pioneer. We're here to help the Zalani people. Withdraw your forces and there won't be any trouble." The Vorthax commander made a sound that might have been laughter. You dare threaten the Vorthak Empire? What species are you? I will enjoy adding your ship to my collection. We're human, Lisa said simply. The Vorthak commander paused. Human? I have not heard of this species. No matter. Prepare to die. The communication ended. On the tactical display, the Vorthak ships began to spread out in an attack formation. They're surrounding us, Jake reported. Roy, target the lead ship. Fire when ready. Aye, Captain. The Pioneer's plasma cannons fired bright blue beams at the nearest Vorthak ship. The shots hit its shields and caused some damage, but not enough to stop it. The Vorthaks fired back. Dark energy beams struck the Pioneer's shields. The ship shook, but Amy's modifications held. Shields at 80%, Jake reported. Roy, keep firing. Sam, get me the engine room. Pete here, Captain. I need everything you've got. Emergency power to weapons and shields. You got it. The Pioneer danced between the larger Vorthak ships, firing at their weak points. Roy was an excellent gunner, and he managed to damage several enemy ships. But there were too many of them. Shields at 50%, Jake called out. More Vorthak ships were coming from the planet. Soon they would be completely surrounded. Amy, how's that shield frequency working? I think I've got it, Captain. If the Zilani can help amplify our shields... Veltar, Lisa called to the alien leader. We need your help. Can your people focus energy on our ship? We will try, Veltar said. But we have never done anything like this before. On the planet below, thousands of Zilani gathered in their crystal caves. They had never used their abilities for war, but they understood that these humans were trying to save them. Together, they focused their energy upward toward the small human ship fighting impossible odds above their world. Suddenly, the Pioneer's shields blazed with new power. Instead of blue energy, they glowed with the crystal light of the Zilani. People, shields at 200% and climbing, Jake said in amazement. The Vorthak energy beams that had been hurting them now barely scratched their shields. Lisa smiled grimly. Now we fight back. Roy, target their command ship. The Pioneer's weapons, also boosted by Zilani energy, fired beams that cut through Vorthak armor like paper. The first enemy ship exploded in a ball of fire. The Vorthak commander, who had threatened them, stared in shock as his powerful warship was destroyed by what he thought was a weak exploration vessel. What are these humans? He asked his officers. But his officers had no answer. In all their history of conquest, the Vorthaks had never faced anyone who fought back like this. The Pioneer destroyed 2 more Vorthak ships before the enemy pulled. Back to regroup. Status report, Lisa ordered. All systems working perfectly, Pete reported. Whatever the Zilani are doing, it's keeping us strong. Captain, Sam said, I'm reading massive energy signatures coming from deeper in the system. Looks like the main Vorthak fleet is moving toward us. Lisa looked at the tactical display. More red dots were appearing, representing dozens of enemy ships. This had been just the first test. Amy, keep working with the Zilani. We're going to need every advantage we can get. As the USS Pioneer prepared for the larger battle ahead, word of the fight was already spreading through Vorthak communication networks. For the first time in their history, someone had stood up to them and won. But the real test was yet to come. Commander Zarthok of the Vorthak Empire was not happy. He stood in the command center of his massive battleship, looking at reports from the Kepler system. 3 of his ships had been destroyed by a single unknown vessel. This had never happened before. Tell me about these humans, he ordered his intelligence officer. The younger Vorthak pulled up data on his screen. Very little information, Commander. They come from a world called Earth. According to galactic databases, it is listed as a Class M garden world, peaceful species, moderate climate, no significant threats. Zarthok studied the information. Garden worlds usually produced weak species. They lived easy lives on safe planets. When the Vorthax came, they surrendered quickly or died quickly. That was how it had always been. Yet they destroyed 3 warships, Zarthok said. Garden world species do not do that. Perhaps the database is wrong, Commander. Perhaps. Send a deep scan request to the Galactic Information Network. I want to know everything about this Earth. While Zarthok waited for more information, the USS Pioneer continued to orbit the Zalani homeworld. Captain Lisa Grant watched the tactical display as more Vorthak ships moved into the system. Soon there would be over 100 enemy vessels. Any word from Earth Command? She asked Lieutenant Sam Davis. Still waiting for a response, Captain. Our message should have reached them by now. Dr. Amy Clark had been working non-stop with the Zalani to improve their defenses. Captain, I think we've figured something out. The Zalani can create energy fields around their underground cities. If we tune them right, the Vorthax won't be able to find them. How long will that protection last? Maybe a few days, but it's better than nothing. Elder Veltar appeared on the main screen. Captain Grant, my people are doing as your Dr. Clark suggested. We have hidden our remaining cities. But what happens when the larger Vorthak fleet arrives? Lisa wished she had a good answer. The Pioneer had won one small battle, but it was still just one ship against an empire. We'll think of something. On his battleship, Zarthok received the detailed report about Earth. As he read it, his confidence began to change to concern. This cannot be correct, he said to his intelligence officer. I checked 3 times, Commander. The deep scan confirms it. According to the new data, Earth was not a garden world at all. It was classified as a Class H death world. The planet was covered with deadly storms, earthquakes, volcanoes, and violent weather. The oceans were full of predators. The land was home to diseases that could kill in hours. But that was not the worst part. The worst part was the list of Earth's native life forms. Every creature on the planet seemed designed to kill something else. Even the plants were dangerous. Look at this, Zarthok said, pointing to one entry. Humans share their world with creatures called tigers, bears, sharks, snakes, spiders, and something called a honey badger. How did they survive? Perhaps they hid underground like the Zalani? Zarthok continued reading. No. It says here that humans became the dominant species by hunting these creatures. They hunted animals 10 times their size. They ate poisonous plants and survived. They lived through ice ages and volcanic eruptions. The intelligence officer looked nervous. Commander, there is more. Humans fight wars against each other, constantly. For thousands of years they have been developing better ways to kill things. Zarthok felt something he had not experienced in decades of conquest. Doubt. The Vorthax had always won because they fought peaceful species. But humans were not peaceful. They were survivors from a world that tried to kill them every day. How many human ships are coming? He asked. Unknown, Commander. But their message to something called Earth Command mentioned the situation here. If they respond... Before the intelligence officer could finish, alarms began sounding throughout the Vorthak ship. A fleet of unknown vessels had just appeared, at the edge of the system. On the bridge of the USS Pioneer, Sam Davis looked up from his instruments with a huge smile. "Captain, you're going to want to see this. Human fleet dropping out of hyperspace. 57 ships." Lisa could hardly believe it. 57? How did they get here so fast? "Looks like they used the emergency jump network," Commander Jake Murphy said. "That's reserved for the most serious situations." The communication system activated, and a familiar voice filled the bridge. "Pioneer, this is Admiral Frank Collins aboard the USS Constitution. Sorry we're late to the party." Lisa laughed with relief. Admiral Collins had been her instructor at the Space Academy. He was one of the toughest officers in the human fleet. "Admiral, it's good to see you." "Lisa, you've started something big here. When your message reached Earth, every available ship volunteered for this mission. Nobody likes bullies." On the main screen, Lisa could see the human fleet spreading out in battle formation. These were not exploration ships like the Pioneer. These were warships built for fighting, with crews trained for combat. The lead ship, USS Constitution, was 3 times the size of the Pioneer. Its hull was covered with weapons and armor. Following behind it were destroyers, cruisers, and assault ships. Each one carried soldiers who had trained their entire lives on Earth. Zarthok watched the human fleet arrive and felt his confidence disappear completely. These were not the small exploration ship he expected. These were warships from a death world. "Commander," his intelligence officer said quietly, "perhaps we should withdraw. The conquest of this system is not worth fighting an entire death world species." But Zarthok was a proud Vorthak warrior. He had never retreated from any battle. "No, we will crush these humans and show the galaxy that the Vorthak Empire fears no one." He opened a communication channel to all Vorthak ships. "All vessels, prepare for battle. We will destroy every human ship and finish the conquest of this world." Admiral Collins received the Vorthak battle challenge and responded in a way that would become legend throughout the galaxy. "Zarthok, I've read your file. You've destroyed 17 peaceful species. Today that stops. All human ships. This is what we trained for. Let's show them what Earth sends to help its friends." The Zilani watched from their hidden cities as 2 fleets faced each other in the space above their world. They had never seen anything like it. The humans had come from across the galaxy to help people they had never met. Elder Veltar spoke to his people through their crystal communication network. "The humans call their world a death world. But I think they are wrong. Any world that produces people willing to die for strangers is not a death world. It is a world of life." Dr. Amy Clark, still working with Zilani scientists, made another important discovery. "Captain, the Zilani energy fields don't just hide their cities. If we link them to our ship systems, they can boost our weapons and shields even more." "Do it," Lisa ordered. As the 2 fleets prepared for battle, something else was happening across the galaxy. Word of the human intervention had spread to dozens of worlds. Species that had lived in fear of the Vorthaks for generations watched, to see if someone had finally come who could stop them. On 100 different worlds, people gathered around communication devices to follow the battle. For the first time in their lives, they had hope. The battle was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. "All ships," Admiral Collins announced. "Remember what we're fighting for. Behind us is a world full of people who asked for help. In front of us is an empire that has killed billions. Today we answer both calls." Zarthok gave his own orders to the Vorthak fleet. "Destroy them all. Show the galaxy what happens to those who oppose us. The two fleets moved toward each other, weapons charging, shields at maximum power. In a few minutes, the galaxy would learn what happened when an empire of conquerors met a species that had spent its entire existence learning how to survive. The space battle above Kepler 442b began with a flash of light that could be seen from the planet's surface. 57 human warships faced off against 96 Vorthak vessels in the largest space combat the galaxy had seen in centuries. Admiral Frank Collins watched from the bridge of the USS Constitution as enemy ships moved into attack formation. The Vorthaks fought like they always had, using overwhelming numbers and brute force, but humans had learned to fight differently. All ships, execute Battle Plan Alpha, Collins ordered. Remember, we're not trying to match them ship for ship. We're trying to outthink them. The human fleet split into small groups that moved in unexpected patterns. While the Vorthaks tried to surround them, the humans used the planet's gravity and moon system to their advantage. They appeared and disappeared, striking fast and moving before the enemy could respond. Captain Lisa Grant watched from the USS Pioneer as the larger ships fought around them. Sam, any word from the Zilani? They're asking if they can help with the battle, Lieutenant Sam Davis replied. Dr. Amy Clark looked up from her station. Captain, I've been thinking about that energy amplification effect. What if the Zilani could boost not just our shields, but our weapons too? Talk to Elder Veltar. See what they can do. On the planet below, the battle was different, but just as fierce. Vorthak ground forces had landed before the human fleet arrived. They were hunting the remaining Zilani in their underground cities, even the ones protected by energy fields. Colonel Nick Thompson led the human ground assault. His transport ship landed hard in the middle of a Vorthak base camp. Before the enemies could react, 200 human soldiers poured out, weapons firing. "Remember your training," Nick shouted to his troops. "These bugs think they're tough because they conquered a bunch of peaceful species. Let's show them what tough really looks like." The Vorthaks were larger and stronger than humans, but they had never faced an enemy that fought like this. Human soldiers used the terrain, worked in perfect teams, and never gave up no matter how bad things got. Sergeant Kate Williams found herself surrounded by 10 Vorthak warriors in one of the underground tunnels. A normal species would have surrendered. Kate smiled and pulled out a grenade. "You want to know the difference between you and us?" she said to the Vorthaks. "We learned to fight on a world that tried to kill us every day. You learned to fight on worlds that couldn't fight back." The explosion brought down part of the tunnel, but Kate had already moved to a side passage. The Vorthaks were trapped, but she was free to continue the mission. Above ground, the space battle continued. The humans were taking losses, but they were giving better than they got. Every time a Vorthak commander thought he understood human tactics, the humans did something different. Chief Gunner Roy Bennett on the USS Pioneer had linked his weapons to the Zilani energy network. When he fired now, his plasma cannons cut through Vorthak armor like it was paper. "Captain," Roy reported, "whatever the Zilani are doing, it's working. My shots are 3 times more powerful than normal." "Good. Target their command ships. Let's make them think twice about being here." The turning point came when Zarthok decided to use the Vorthak Empire's ultimate weapon. Hidden in the center of his fleet was a massive ship carrying a planet-killer bomb. It had destroyed dozens of worlds before. "Prepare the World Ender," Zarthok ordered. "If we cannot have this planet, no one can." Admiral Collins saw the huge ship moving toward the planet and understood immediately what it was. "All ships. Priority. Target. That's a planet killer. We cannot let it reach the surface." The entire human fleet turned toward the massive Vorthak weapon ship, but it was heavily defended, and time was running out. Major Dan Lewis was piloting a small fighter ship near the weapon platform. He looked at his fuel gauge and weapon systems. Both were nearly empty, but he had one option left. "Admiral, this is Major Lewis. I'm going to ram the planet killer. Maybe I can damage it enough to stop the weapon." "Dan, no. We'll find another way." "Sir, there is no other way." "And Admiral? Tell my wife I kept my promise to come home a hero?" Dan pushed his fighter to maximum speed and aimed directly at the planet killer's main weapon. His ship was tiny compared to the massive Vorthak vessel, but he hit exactly the right spot. The explosion destroyed Dan's fighter and damaged the planet killer's main gun, but it was not enough to stop the weapon completely. "All fighters, follow Major Lewis's example," came voices over the radio. "For the Zalani, for humanity." One after another, human pilots sacrificed their ships to damage the planet killer. Each explosion weakened it more. The Vorthaks had never seen anything like it. What kind of species threw away their lives so easily? Commander Zarthok watched in horror as his ultimate weapon was destroyed by pilots who chose to die rather than let him win. In all his years of conquest, he had never faced enemies who fought like this. "Commander," his intelligence officer said, "the humans are not fighting like any species we know. They do not retreat when they should. They do not surrender when defeated. They sacrifice themselves for others." "I can see that," Zarthok said angrily. "But why?" On the planet's surface, Colonel Thompson's forces had linked up with Zalani survivors. The crystal beings had never seen combat before, but they helped in other ways. They used their energy abilities to heal wounded human soldiers and power their equipment. "Colonel," one of his sergeants reported, "the Vorthaks are pulling back. Looks like they've had enough of fighting us." Nick looked around at his soldiers. They were tired, wounded, but still ready to fight. Behind them, grateful Zalani tended to the injured and shared their knowledge of the underground tunnels. "Good," Nick said. "Maybe now they'll understand that some people fight back." In space, the battle was turning decisively in humanity's favor. The Vorthaks had started with more ships, but human tactics and Zalani support had evened the odds. More importantly, the human crews never gave up, even when their ships were badly damaged. Zarthok watched another of his ships explode and made a decision that would echo through Vorthak history. For the first time in 300 years of conquest, he gave the order to retreat. "All ships, withdraw from the system. We are returning to Vorthak space." His officers stared at him in shock. "Commander, we have never retreated from any battle." "We have never fought Deathworlders before," Zarthok replied. "These humans do not fight for conquest or glory. They fight for each other. That makes them more dangerous than any weapon." Admiral Collins watched the Vorthak fleet pull back and felt a mixture of relief and pride. They had done it. A human fleet had faced the Vorthak Empire and won. "All ships, secure from battle stations. Begin rescue operations for any survivors." Dr. Amy Clark was already coordinating with the Zalani to help both human and Vorthak wounded. "Captain, the Zalani want to heal everyone, even the Vorthaks. They say violence should end with healing, not more violence." Lisa smiled. "These crystal people might be the most civilized species in the galaxy." Elder Veltar appeared on the main screen, his crystal body glowing brighter than before. "Captain Grant, Admiral Collins, how can we ever thank you? You came to help people you had never met. You risked everything for us." That's what friends do, Lisa replied simply. But the victory at Kepler 442b was about more than saving one world. Across the galaxy, other species had watched the battle. They had seen that the Vorthak Empire could be defeated. For the first time in generations, hope spread from world to world. On 100 different planets, oppressed peoples looked up at the stars and wondered if these humans might help them too. The age of Vorthak dominance was ending. The age of human protection was about to begin, and it had all started because one exploration ship captain could not ignore a call for help. 3 weeks after the Battle of Kepler 442b, the galaxy was a very different place. News of humanity's victory over the Vorthak Empire had spread to every inhabited world. For the first time in centuries, species across the galaxy had hope. Captain. Lisa Grant stood in the rebuilt crystal gardens of the Zalani capital city. The beautiful structures glowed with renewed light as the crystal people worked to repair their world. But something had changed. Mixed in with the Zalani were human engineers and scientists working together to build something new. "It's beautiful," said Dr. Amy Clark, watching Zalani artists create living sculptures with the help of human technology. "I never imagined two species could work together like this." Elder Veltar approached them, his crystal body shining with happiness. "Dr. Clark, your people have given us more than protection. You have given us friendship. In return, we offer something no species has ever shared with another." "What's that?" Amy asked. "We wish to join our worlds together, not as conqueror and conquered, but as true partners. Let human ships carry Zalani energy systems. Let Zalani healing knowledge help human medicine. Together, we can be stronger than either species alone." Amy felt tears in her eyes. This was what first contact was supposed to be. Not war or conquest, but two peoples coming together to help each other. Admiral Frank Collins watched the ceremony from the new human embassy. In just 3 weeks, he had gone from fleet commander to humanity's first interstellar ambassador. It was not a job he had expected, but it was one he was proud to do. "Admiral," said his aide, Lieutenant Commander Steve Phillips, "we're getting dozens of communication requests every day. Species all over this part of the galaxy want to talk to us." "What kind of talk?" Collins asked. "Some want protection from the Vorthaks. Others want to trade with us. A few want to form alliances. Admiral, I think we've accidentally started a galactic revolution." Collins looked out at the stars visible through the embassy window. Each one might have worlds full of people who needed help. It was a big responsibility for a species that had only recently learned there were others out there. On the bridge of the USS Pioneer, now serving as the flagship of humanity's first interstellar patrol fleet, Captain Grant read through the daily reports. What she saw amazed her. "Sam, how many distress signals did we receive today?" Lieutenant Sam Davis checked his logs. 47, Captain, all from different star systems. Some are asking for help against Vorthak raiders. Others are dealing with pirates or local conflicts. And, Captain, 12 of them specifically asked for human help." Lisa shook her head in wonder. A month ago, nobody in the galaxy knew humans existed. Now species were asking for them by name. Commander Jake Murphy brought her the latest intelligence reports. "Captain, you should see this. The Vorthak Empire is in chaos. 3 of their border provinces have declared independence. Several of their conquered worlds are rebelling. It seems our victory has given everyone else ideas." "Good," Lisa said. "Maybe the age of conquest is finally ending." Dr. Clark entered the bridge carrying a datapad full of exciting news. "Captain, I've been working with Zalani scientists on new technology. By combining human engineering with Zalani energy systems, we've created shield generators that are 10 times more powerful than anything we had before. How long before we can install them on our ships? The first prototype is ready now. And Captain, there's more. The Zalani healing technology can extend human life by decades. In return, our medical knowledge is helping them recover from the war faster than they thought possible. Lisa smiled. This was how space exploration was supposed to work. Learning from each other, becoming stronger together. But the most important news came from Earth itself. Lieutenant Davis received a priority message from Earth Command that changed everything. Captain, message from home. The United Earth Government has approved the creation of the Galactic Protection Fleet. 20 new ships are being built specifically for helping other worlds. And they want you to be the first fleet commander. Lisa looked around the bridge at her crew. These people had started as simple explorers. Now they were the founding members of something that could change the galaxy. What about the Pioneer? She asked. She'll be our flagship, Jake said with a grin. The ship that started it all. On Vorthak Prime, the Empire's homeworld, Commander Zarthok faced the ruling council. His defeat at Kepler 442b had shaken the foundation of Vorthak power. You retreated, said the Supreme Commander, his voice full of anger. In 300 years, the Vorthak Empire has never retreated. Supreme Commander, Zarthok replied, these humans are not like any species we have conquered before. They fight not for territory or resources, but for each other. That makes them unbeatable. You sound like you admire them, Zarthok thought carefully before answering. I respect them. There is a difference. We have built our empire by attacking the weak. The humans built their strength by surviving the impossible. When they say they will protect someone, they mean it. The council was silent for a long moment. Finally, the Supreme Commander spoke. What do you recommend? We avoid human space. We do not attack worlds under their protection, and we hope they do not decide to come after us. It was the first time in Vorthak history that they had admitted another species might be stronger than them. Back on Kepler 442b, Captain Grant prepared for the Pioneers' next mission. They had received a distress call from a world called Haven 3, where local pirates were attacking peaceful trading ships. Ready to go help some more people? She asked her crew. Chief Gunner Roy Bennett checked his weapons one more time. Always ready, Captain. Though I have to admit I never thought I'd become a space policeman when I joined the Exploration Service. Engineer Pete Harrison laughed from his station. Roy, none of us thought we'd be fighting the biggest empire in the galaxy either. But here we are. As the Pioneer prepared to leave orbit, Elder Veltar contacted them one final time. Captain, Grant, before you go, I want to tell you something. When we sent our distress call, we hoped someone would hear us. But we never imagined anyone would care enough to risk everything to help us. Your species has taught us that the galaxy can be a place of friendship instead of fear. And your species has taught us that there are people out there worth protecting, Lisa replied. Take care, Veltar. We'll be back to visit. The USS Pioneer jumped to hyperspace, carrying its crew toward their next mission. Behind them, human and Zalani workers continued building something new together. Ahead of them lay a galaxy full of people who needed help. In the months that followed, the story of the Battle of Kepler 442b became legend. It was told on 1,000 worlds in 100 different languages. But the message was always the same. There were people in the galaxy who would answer when you called for help. The Galactic Protection Fleet grew quickly. Human ships, equipped with Zalani technology and crewed by volunteers from dozens of species, patrolled trade routes and protected peaceful worlds. Pirates and raiders learned to avoid systems under human protection. Dr. Amy Clark established the first Interspecies Research Institute, where scientists from different worlds worked together to solve problems that had seemed impossible before. Diseases that had plagued entire species for centuries were cured in months. Technologies that had been dreams became reality. Admiral Collins opened the first galactic embassy on Earth, where representatives from 47 different species worked together to maintain peace. It was not perfect, and there were still conflicts, but it was a start. And Captain Lisa Grant continued to patrol the galaxy in the USS Pioneer, answering distress calls and protecting those who could not protect themselves. The ship that had started as a simple exploration vessel had become a symbol of hope for billions of people. The galaxy was not peaceful. There were still wars and conflicts and cruelty. But now there was also something that had been missing for too long, the knowledge that someone cared enough to help. When the Zalani had sent their desperate call into the darkness of space, they had not known who might hear them, but they had been lucky. It was humans who heard the call, and humans who had learned long ago that the strong should protect the weak. The age of conquest was ending. The age of protection had begun. And it had all started because a single ship captain could not ignore the sound of someone asking for help. On distant Earth, children learned the story in school. They learned about Captain Grant and the USS Pioneer, about the brave pilots who sacrificed themselves to save a world they had never seen, and about the crystal people who had become humanity's first friends among the stars. But most importantly, they learned that when someone calls for help, you answer, because that is what humans do. That is what makes them human.